The war had ended only 3 days ago. The skies above the crystal spires of the towering capital were still scarred with drifting ash from shattered starships. The once radiant towers hummed again with power, but the air carried tension. Like a drawn blade, humans had saved them. That fact sat heavily in every chamber of the royal palace. Queen Althira of Thalreen stood in the grand audience hall, her silver mantle flowing behind her. Her species was tall and luminous, their skin faintly opalescent, their eyes bright like starlight refracted through water. To her people, humans were dense creatures of bone and gravity, loud and blunt and unsettling, and yet without them, Thalreen would have burned. Across the polished floor stood a single human soldier in dark combat armor. He had removed his helmet. His hair was short and dark, his expression disciplined but uneasy beneath the gaze of 100 alien nobles. His name was Sergeant Daniel Reyes. He had not come for honor. He had come because the Queen had requested to see him in her arms. Wrapped in layered silk woven from light thread was her newborn daughter. The child had not stopped crying since the final bombardment 3 nights earlier. Not for the healers, not for the attendants, not even for her mother. The sound filled the vast chamber now. It was high and sharp and constant. It echoed against crystal walls and shimmered through the air like a distress beacon. Althira's expression remained regal, but exhaustion shadowed her luminous eyes. She spoke through the translator field that shimmered softly between them. Sergeant Reyes, you were the one who carried my daughter from the lower sanctum during the final strike. Yes, Your Majesty. His voice was steady, though the memory was not. He remembered smoke choking the corridors. He remembered shattered columns. He remembered the ceiling collapsing as he shielded a fragile bundle in his arms. He remembered how small she felt. The Queen stepped down from the dais. Gasps rippled through the court. She descended the steps herself. No guards intervened. She stopped only a few feet away from the human soldier. My daughter has not ceased crying since that hour, she said softly. Our physicians detect no illness, no injury. The baby wailed again, her tiny luminous limbs trembling within the silk. The Queen hesitated only a fraction of a second, then she extended her daughter toward him. Collective shock swept the chamber. You carried her through fire, Althira said. Hold her again. Daniel froze. He had faced plasma artillery without flinching. He had charged fortified lines under orbital bombardment. But this felt different. I am not trained for that, Your Majesty. A faint flicker of something almost amused crossed the Queen's face. Nor were you trained to defy a starfleet to rescue a child. Not your own. Fair point. He stepped forward, slowly, and removed his gauntlets. His hands were scarred, calloused. Steady, he accepted the infant as though handling something infinitely more volatile than explosives. The baby continued crying for 2 more heartbeats. Then Daniel adjusted his grip instinctively. One arm supported her head. The other cradled her body against his chest. He lowered his voice. Hey there, he murmured softly. The crying faltered. Not stopped, faltered. The court leaned forward. Daniel shifted slightly, rocking once. It was unconscious. Emotion older than language. Older than species. It's okay, he whispered. The baby's glowing eyes flickered open. She stared up at him. The crying ceased. Silence fell so completely that the faint hum of palace energy cores could be heard across the hall. The infant blinked once, then she reached up with a tiny luminous hand and grasped the front of Daniel's uniform. A murmur spread like wind through tall grass. The queen stared. Her daughter had not been silent in 3 days. Now, she lay still against the chest of an alien soldier whose species gravity outweighed theirs by nearly double. A being whose world was harsher, denser, louder. Daniel felt every eye in the chamber on him. He swallowed carefully. She just needed to feel safe. He said quietly. The queen's gaze sharpened. Our sanctum is shielded by planetary defense grids. Daniel shook his head slightly. Not that kind of safe. He looked down at the child. She remembers. The translator shimmered uncertainly, trying to parse human nuance. She remembers the noise, the shaking, the fear around her. Babies pick up on that. She needed something steady. He gave a small shrug. Humans are heavy. Loud hearts. Strong grip. When I ran with her, I held her tight so she wouldn't feel the explosions. She probably associates that with stability. The queen's eyes widened almost imperceptibly. Valrine physiology was attuned to energy fields and resonance. Their children were sensitive to emotional currents. It had not occurred to them that the child might be reacting to memory of terror rather than injury. Daniel gently adjusted his hold again. The baby made a small sound. Not a cry, a soft coo. Several nobles audibly gasped. She responds to his gravitational field. One scientist whispered, or his heartbeat frequency. Another murmured. Daniel blinked. Probably just the rocking. The queen stepped closer. Close enough now that she could see the fine lines around the soldier's eyes. The fatigue, the faint tremor he suppressed from days without rest. You crossed a battlefield for her. Althea said softly. That was my job. You could have left. He met her gaze evenly. That's not how humans work. The baby shifted, settling more firmly against his chest. One tiny luminous hand curled into the fabric of his uniform and refused to release. The queen slowly extended her arms. May I? Daniel carefully transferred the infant back to her mother. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the baby stirred. Althea instinctively adjusted her posture, mimicking the angle and firmness Daniel had used. The child remained quiet. The queen exhaled in visible relief. You have given my people more than military aid, Sergeant Reyes. He shifted awkwardly. Just shared a trick from Earth. She studied him for a long moment. In Thalrine tradition, one who shields the air in her first trial of survival is bound to her life path. Daniel stiffened slightly. Your Majesty, with respect, I'm scheduled to redeploy in 40 hours. A faint smile curved her lips. Then it seems my daughter's life path extends beyond our world. A ripple of surprise moved through the court. You intend alliance. A noble whispered urgently. I intend gratitude. The queen replied calmly. She turned back to Daniel. My daughter will know who carried her through fire. She will know that when her world shook, a human stood firm. Daniel glanced at the infant one last time. She blinked at him. Calm and luminous. Guess she's tougher than she looks, he said softly. The queen's gaze gleamed with quiet pride. She is Thalrine. He nodded once, and a little bit human. Maybe the court did not understand the humor, but the queen did. Outside the palace windows, the ash clouds began to part. Sunlight pierced through fractured skies and illuminated the crystal towers once more in the silence of the grand hall. A fragile new understanding settled between two species who had once regarded each other with suspicion. The queen's daughter slept peacefully in her mother's arms, and every Thalring present would remember the sight of a human soldier standing steady while their future rested against his heart. Asterisk.